to ensure that this vision is achieved. Now, the project we are launching today, Promotion of Climate Adaptation Technologies and Business Model Innovations and Entrepreneurship in Sierra Leone, is about positioning our SMEs to adapt to climate impacts through adaptation technologies and innovative business models that focuses on these three crucial areas: food, energy, and water sectors. Now, again, our SMEs represent about 90% of businesses in this country, over 90% of businesses in this country, and accordingly provide approximately 80% of jobs in Sierra Leone. So this means that their collective power, if we support them to access adaptation technologies, we support them to be carbon neutral. It is the best way for us to achieve or to contribute towards achievement of our MDCs. The project we are launching today, we also act as a catalyst in positioning our SMEs to play a major role in greening and adapting to the climate crisis across economic sectors in the country, thus contributing to the strategic objective of the presidential initiative on climate change, renewable energy, and food security. It is indeed in this respect that PICREF wholeheartedly support the project as co-chair in the project steering committee. We are looking forward to working with members of the PSC to leverage formidable partnerships and to mobilize additional resources so that more SMEs across the country will access such technologies and business model innovations to help close the climate adaptation gaps and create major jobs in our economy. So I close my speech and I move on to my role as the chair of this occasion. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we are pleased in the joyous mood. The cries of Sierra Leone are being heard loud, and we are raising resources. His Excellency's programs are raising resources. Our job as technicians is to ensure that those programs are implemented. Our jobs as citizens is to ensure that those programs, when implemented, we participate in their implementation to ensure that we benefit from those programs. For the SMEs is a challenge that you are going to receive resources. Ensure that those resources are used, or you are going to receive capacities to improve on you. So today, as I mentioned again, so we now move to the next part of our, this event. Is to have presentations, short presentations, first from the project overview. So we will listen to hear what has been packaged by the government of Sierra Leone, represented in the project by the Ministry of Trade and Industry, the parent ministry, to help move the SMEs forward. So here I will invite Mr. Shaka Samuel Sano, who is the Executive Director, Executive Secretary of SMEDA. The CEO, he's in the private sector. So the CEO of SMEDA to please run us through the project overview. Mr. Shaka Sano, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, representatives of ministers present here,
Okay, I'm sorry, we have to reorganize the program because my back would have been facing the screen, and I also want to learn more. So please permit us to reorganize the statement, the program, and we will go to statements instead of looking at the presentation. So it's my pleasure and honor to invite my friend, the Honorable Minister of Trade and Industry, who unfortunately is not here, but I know he is represented by the able Chief Director, who I know very well, a very competent expert representing Sierra Leone in all the trade negotiations, representing Sierra Leone in the international circle, promoting the image of the country in trade, industry, and the like. So, my pleasure to welcome Mr. Emmanuel Conjo, the Chief Director of Ministry of Trade and Industry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning. The Chair had admonished us that we are having a joyous occasion. We are fortunate to have received a grant to support small and medium enterprise entities in Sierra Leone and focusing on climate change and adaptation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by bringing you felicitations from the Minister of Trade and Industry, Alpha Ibrahim Sise, my minister, who's unavoidably absent at the cabinet meeting this morning. That's why he's not here. Colleagues, I cannot read the minister's speech because he will have to find another opportunity to talk to you. But I have been instructed and directed by him to convey a message to us this morning. Previous speakers have reiterated and emphasized the importance of climate change. It is serious, it is real, and it is affecting livelihoods. The economic context of Sierra Leone is that 90% of our businesses are in the MSME landscape. 90% of them are also informal. Means that they don't have access to any risk exposure, insurance or anything. Just as the chair mentioned, I was also notified yesterday of the impact of all the efforts that we've made with our rice cultivation. Some of our paddies are underwater as we speak. Our local poultry farmers sent a position paper yesterday. Some of the issues have to do with climate. 3 things that the ministers asked me to talk about, that this project should bring change. He's not the minister that does not understand project management. For the past 15 years, he has headed the World Bank Public Financial Management Unit, PFME. So it's a big project. It's a written procurement debate. He knows the nitty-gritty. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's not business as usual. He has asked me also to convey that this project should bring impact. We must be able, 1 year from today, to see tangible impact, innovation. Innovation is not just talk, it's about talking. It's about transformation, making it to reality. And he has asked me to say that this is the call for action. We have looked at the results framework. We've seen the number of target beneficiaries. Mr. Chair, finally, before I take my seat, he has asked me to say to the project team that specifically we are going to be focusing on women SMEs. specifically, we are going to be focusing on women MSMEs. So on that note, it is not about fancy words. It's for work. We are the Ministry of Trade and Industry. We have to deliver results, and results we must. So let me congratulate you all and urge you that we are watching and we are behind you to support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Minister. We've heard loud and clear. Please don't worry. You know, today, as I mentioned, as I started off, it's a double promotion. So, but yours, there's already somebody in the room occupying it. So it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So, thank you very much, Mr. Chief Director. We've heard him loud and clear that the minister wants change, and that through this project, they want to see that change. But most importantly, the focus on women entrepreneurs. We all know that even in the SMEs, again, when you look at the SMEs, the largest proportion of owners of SMEs are women. But unfortunately, when it comes to technologies, when it comes to access to finance, they are relegated to the back. We've just finished a study with the Islamic Development Bank looking at women in post-production agriculture across 8 countries. And that's exactly what we find. So if conscious efforts at the policy level is not taken, and that's what we are very happy that the minister wants to see that. Now we move to the next speaker, statement which will come from the Environmental Protection Agency, represented here by Mr. Tamba Nyake. Mr. Nyaka, you know, I fall in that category too. People always mispronounce my name, so my apology. Mr. Nyaka.
So good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we want to stand on existing protocol, and as the previous speakers have said, I think today is a celebration moment. I think this is a very long journey that we started with UNIDO and SMIDA in putting initially the concept and also developing the project. Of course, the EPA is the national designated entity for most of the multilateral environmental agreement funding mechanism, the GEF and the GCF. And of course, we are very glad to be part of the process and to move this agenda forward. So I also bring greetings from the executive chairman and also the focal points for the OFP, for Jeff, who is outside the country. Of course, previous speakers have emphasized the issue of climate change. Of course, we know it is not a novelty, but it is a reality. And of course, this project speaks directly to key national documents that we have put forward in addressing issues relating to climate change and environmental management. One is our nationally determined contribution that has components relating to adaptation and also our national adaptation plan. And if you look at that plan, it says 3 things. 1, to increase our adaptive capacity. Secondly, to build our resilience. And third, to reduce our vulnerability to impact. And also within those documents, there are key sectors that are vulnerable to climate impact. And those sectors are captured under this particular project. agriculture, energy, and the like. And of course, we believe we cannot address issues of climate resilience without looking at technology. Of course, we believe technology drives a lot of issues. And also, this year, of course, the EPA developed what we call a 7-year transformational strategy that has 3 key pillars and 6 enablers. Of course, the pillar 1 is climate change. Second is natural resources governance, pollution, and waste. And we believe these are the 3 planetary crises that the world is facing. And so you cannot separate one from the other. So you have to treat all of them in an integrated manner. And so within that, of course, we have, for the first time, empowering youth, we call Youth Innovation Challenge. And in that, we are promoting what we call homegrown innovation technology coming from our own youth. Of course, we are working with UNDP on that, and we believe that will resonate with this particular project going forward. Because we launched it, and we have started the process. Of course, yesterday, we had youth coming up with various technology addressing issues of smart irrigation, climate smart farming practices, promoting inorganic fertilizer, and also somebody displayed what we call a windmill generating electricity. And I believe those innovations could be addressed by this particular project. So I want to thank UNIDO for the continuous support, and I believe we have been working together with them. And of course, we are part of the steering committee, and we are chairing that particular committee. And of course, Mr. Chief Director, we want to assure you and tell the Minister that we are committed in making sure that this project achieves the reality of which it was designed, to address and reduce the vulnerability in those 3 sectors using technology. And of course, the EPA is always committed in ensuring that our environment is protected. So I want to thank all of you for coming, and we implore that whosoever will be participating in this project, let us take this project as a baby, and of course, and see that it achieves the desired goal and objective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, EPA. EPA is committed, and they will ensure or contribute towards that the project is in line with their strategies, particularly in promoting youth through technologies and methods and innovations. So let me recognize the presence of an important personality amongst us when it comes to the private sector. And it's no less a person than His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Adonis Abu, who is the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps in Sierra Leone and Chairman of the Sierra Leone Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much, sir. You're most welcome. Now we go to number 3, which is a statement from the Ministry of Energy. Do we have a representative from the minister? We know all the ministers are in cabinet, so okay, I see no person yet, but I'm sure the ministry will send a representative. Now we go to number 2.4. Again, do we have a representative, or do we have Dr. Sao Pato Hannah Max? Okay. A representative. Okay. Ministry of
water resources and sanitation. Okay, so we have a representative in the person of Mr. Augustine Tucker, who is a director in the ministry. So, high-level representation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, and of course, standing on all existing protocols, I bring you all greetings from the Honorable Minister, who was supposed to deliver this statement, but unavoidably absent due to other competing priorities. I have the honor to carry out this function on her behalf as the Director in the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation. This project launch marks a significant step towards advancing climate adaptation technologies within Sierra Leone's water sector. By promoting innovative solutions and services with the aim to mitigate the impact of climate change on water resources and facilitate sustainable development in Sierra Leone. Through close collaboration with local communities, government agencies, and industry partners, we are dedicated to fostering resilience and driving positive outcomes for water access and management. We are excited about the possibilities ahead and are committed to making a tangible difference in promoting water security and environmental sustainability in Sierra Leone. As a ministry, we'll embark on the following strategic plan of actions. 1, introduce policies that prioritize the use of renewable energy sources for water treatment and distribution to help reduce carbon emissions and enhance sustainability in the sector. 2, establish regulatory framework to incentivize the adoption of climate-resilient water technologies and services to drive market growth and innovation in Sierra Leone. 3, implement innovative technologies for water purification and desalination that can help Sierra Leone adapt to the effects of climate change on water resources. 4, leverage international collaborations and funding opportunities to facilitate the transfer of knowledge and technologies for climate adaptation in Sierra Leone's water sector. 5, promote the use of efficient irrigation systems and rainwater harvesting technologies to enhance water availability and resilience in the face of climate variability. 6, invest in capacity building and training programs for local communities on sustainable water management practices to facilitate the adoption of climate-resilient technologies. 7, encourage public-private partnerships to support the development and deployment of climate adaptation technologies in the water sector to drive sustainable solutions. Number 8, encourage research and development initiatives to create locally adapted climate technologies tailored to Sierra Leone's unique challenges and opportunities. Number 9, foster knowledge exchange platforms and awareness campaigns to increase understanding and acceptance of climate adaptation technologies among stakeholders in the water sector. And finally, ensure the monitoring and evaluation of the effectiveness of implemented technologies to ensure their long-term sustainability and impact on climate resilience. Thank you all for your kind attention.
So thank you very much, Mr. Tucker, from the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, a key partner in this project, and we've heard him outline some of the important activities or plans they have in the ministry to contribute to resilience building, to contribute to adaptation within the water resources sector. Now, it's my pleasure to welcome and invite the representative of the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Ms. Geneva Al-Hazari.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Al-Azim, you know, come join me. Al-Azim, call my name. You see, so yeah, Ms. Geneva Al-Hazari is the acting director, agribusiness department. A very new creation in that department, again, as part of His Excellency's wisdom to promote private sector and others that want to invest in agriculture. They have elevated a unit to a whole department. So it's my pleasure to welcome you, Madam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for this brief notice to the audience here. All protocols observed. Greetings to development partners, the High Table, Minister of State present here or their representatives, the EPA. Good morning. Let me bring greetings first from my minister. My minister and the PS and our agriculturists, the chief agriculturists are in the field. They are not in town. The deputy minister too is with them. The deputy minister one should be here, but they are at cabinet meeting, so they cannot make it. But I am the acting director, as the chair has just introduced, of the nearest division in the Ministry of Agriculture. That's the agribusiness and private sector division in the ministry. So I am delivering the statement on behalf of the Deputy Minister 1. The issue of climate change is now one of the world's most challenged and major challenge. Its impact is being felt right through the world, and each country is battling its own share. Although development partners, developing nations, world at large organizations, and other bodies are fighting hard to help reduce its impact through policies, sensitizations, technical and financial support, innovations, etc. Its impact is becoming more prominent, particularly in developing countries. In Sierra Leone of recent, climate change has become more evident. This has altered our weather and rainfall pattern, disrupts the ecosystem and our water regime. This directly affects our agricultural activities and the agri-food systems, the quality and quantity of water for domestic, irrigation, and industrial use. Unfortunately, most of the underlying factors for the climate change are as a result of human activities, which, that is, the whole world, we hopefully controlled to help mitigate or minimize the effects of these changes. Investment in agricultural sector is being highly vulnerable as a result of climate change, which is accompanying unpredictability of productivity, negatively influencing the profitability of the sector, as we recently witnessed the flooding of our agricultural fields, destroying rice, cassava, our vegetable gardens, including livestock. The world all over, organizations and institutions, other bodies have all held a lot of climate change summits or workshops trying to develop strategies, innovations, and technologies that can be adopted in order to mitigate, reduce the impact or build resilience to these changes. Most of us here have attended either one or more summits or workshops on climate change and have some knowledge on climate change causes and impacts. Today, again, we are here to grace this launching of a project titled Promotion of Climate Adaptation Technology, Business Models, Innovation and Entrepreneurship in Sierra Leone. This project, which is going to be led by the Ministry of Trade and Industry, supported by our partners, Global Environmental Facility and the United Nations Industrial Organization, is said to be aiming at reducing climate vulnerability and increase resilience in climate change with specific interventions. These interventions are by supporting SME-driven innovation and large-scale development of adaptation technologies, products and services. The project is also said to have 5 components. The most interesting one for my ministry we like to be part of for the implementation are strengthening institutional and policy framework, in brackets, producers and traders. Policies that can stabilize our agricultural products, especially our staple food and cash crops, to reduce importation and increase exportation, all things being equal. The next is growth and scale-up support for adaptation, de-risking climate change effects, and our preparedness as government to reduce or mitigate climate change. Enabling vulnerable groups to access finance for climate resilience projects. Developing more projects that are climate change focused and gender sensitivity to increase their income and acquisition for self-reliance. Mr. Chairman, for this project to succeed, collaboration in line with this, the ministries, line ministries, particularly my ministry, whose actors bear the heaviest impacts of climate change. Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning, and Marine Resources, whose activities can accelerate the positive impact of climate change. Although the project aims to reduce climate vulnerability and impact, resilience, the other point of consideration is for MDAs to harmonize policies on climate change issues. This will help to avoid duplication of efforts, target beneficiaries, and value for government and donor funding. Mr. Chairman, let me wish you and all of us here a fruitful deliberation in launching this project, and I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Madam. And that's the voice from the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. The feed saloon, the people who are leading an all government approach to food and nutrition security in Sierra Leone. You've heard very well the speech, so I won't go through it, but most important point that I would want to mention is the call for collaboration, effective collaboration with the key partners and entities that are in the project, if we are to succeed, and we must succeed. Number 2 is a call to MDAs to harmonize their policies and supports this area of climate change so that it will be beneficial to the country. But before we move forward, let me recognize some more people in the room. We have a whole team that came from UNIDO to support this launch. So again, we're in a happy mood. So we have friends that came. We have Colleen, please just wave wherever you are. Thank you very much. You're most welcome. We also have Chidi. Chidi, are you in the room? Oh, very well. Thank you very much for coming. And it's not an oversight because there are some people you have to leave them to introduce them when the program has now geared up. And that person is no other person, less a person than the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Trade and Industry. The whole discussions we're doing here is under the purview of this individual, who is Mr. Al-Hassan Conde, our Senior Permanent Secretary. Thank you very much for coming, sir. We also have representatives from the private sector, particularly our co-financiers. And we can see in the room representatives from Cartel Sierra Leone and Easy Solar. That's a household name in renewable energy in Sierra Leone. Please just wave wherever you are. Easy Solar. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, we will do recognitions as we go on. And now we move to the next item on our agenda. Again, to have a statement from one of the key partners in this program, that's the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. Of course, our minister, they're also a very young, dynamic minister. I'm sure he would have loved to be here if he's not in cabinet. But notwithstanding, he has sent one of his very able lieutenants in the name of Mr. Edward Bendu, who is the Chief Director in that ministry. Mr. Bendu, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and a very good morning to members of the special table and also to colleagues and partners in the environmental management space, the agri space, the energy space, and the water resources space. A very good morning to all of you. As the chairman has said, we are in a joyous mood. We are in celebration, particularly knowing fully well that this project has come to reality after 2 to 3 years of hard work. So on the outset, I want to, at this stage, of course, the chairman has established the protocol. So please, Mr. Chairman, please permit me to stand on existing protocols and also to acknowledge the other dignitaries that are introduced. Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, my ministers would have loved to be here, but honestly, they are in other engagements, official engagements of very serious national concern. So apologies on their behalf for them not being with us here this morning. Indeed, just like what the director from the EPA said, the Chief Operational Focal Point, who would have loved to be with us, is out in Nairobi. But of course, he has sent his able lieutenant, Mr. Nyaka, to represent him. He is the chair for the EPA. Is the chair for the steering committee. So I know they have put in a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of intellectual talents into this project that we are launching this morning. Yeah. So also I want to thank the UNIDO, the team from UNIDO, for having put together this project and having got the Jeff to approve this project. Indeed, as Shalinians and one who has been in this space for quite some time, this has come at the right moment. And so let me put my statement in context on behalf of the minister, who would have loved to make the statement, but he has asked me to just make a short statement. realm. This year we have experienced about 27 flood events and more flood events. Even as to yesterday, this morning I got a call from down the Shadow River estuary that more villages are under flood. Yeah, we have had 27 flood affected communities, impacting 3,330 households, directly affecting households of 23,596 people. A total of 167 buildings have collapsed, including 27 critical infrastructure, such as schools, hospitals, and places of worship. Additionally, 7,324 hectares of farmland have been inundated, and many roads have become impassable over the past several months. This is the reality we are going through in China today. And I know also in the sub-region, our boss from Nigeria, they also have their data in terms of the climate change impacts. Similarly in Guinea, so this project has come in at the right time, Madam Guinea representative. So I really want to stress here, like how the previous speakers have mentioned, the Chief Director from the Ministry of Freetown Industry, he's mentioned that he's brought 3 messages. This project should bring change, it should have impact, and it should transform the lives of SMEs, and particularly women who are over 90% owners of these SMEs. We have the project components here. We have the primary objective, the project components, and the target beneficiaries. I need not write over that again. We all can read and we understand the project. The project has been set and it has been designed, and now it's for implementation. The steering committee has been set, the project management unit has been set, and under this context, in this context, I believe the project management team headed by no less a person, Mr. Peter Lansana, whom I know most of you know, a very capable and dynamic expert. So I know he will be able to drive the process together with the leadership of Speaker Mr. Shokas, and being guided, of course, by the leader. So indeed, not for us to come and make academic statements here, but rather to emphasize that on our own part in the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, with allied agencies, the EPA, the Shadow Meteorological Services, the Conservation Trust Fund, and the National Protected Area Authority, we will continue to support this project, and we definitely wish the PMU success and wish SMIDA success in the implementation of this project. I also joined Mr. Conjo from the Ministry of Trade and Industry, the professional head here who has had several years of experience. You had the data he was presenting about women who own small, medium enterprises. That over 90% of women own small, medium enterprises. I was at a retreat yesterday in the UN country team developing a framework, and we got it from the Project Advocacy Network. And most of these SMEs, Mr. Chairman, are in the informal sector. They are not formalized. They don't have documents to access finance. So I want to ask the project management unit to see how you could transform these small, middle business enterprises, particularly the women, to transform themselves from the informal to the formal sector, so that they will be able to access finance and they will be able to benefit from the technologies, the products and the services that this project is going to provide them with in making sure that their business concerns grow and to make us carbon neutral in this country. The Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Agriculture, and the Ministry of Water Resources are the key sectors that this project is going to target. And I do believe the TPS, the target products and services that this project will provide, will definitely be able to address climate change impacts, to reduce vulnerabilities and reduce vulnerabilities and increase resilience and adaptation technologies to the climate change impacts, and bring, of course, make sure that the productive sector increases to address livelihood issues in this country. On that note, I want to thank you all for gracing this occasion. I know we are all in the joyous mood, and so let me just pause here and hand over the mic back to the Institute Chairman. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bendo. Yes, again, another key partner. They have not only given theoretical statements, but they have actually shown that climate change is affecting our constituents, the farmers, people in villages. It's affecting critical infrastructure. He's given the numbers, so this is real. He's also admonished the team led by SMIDA to bring change, to ensure there is impact. He didn't only request, he also said we support. So SMIDA, you have all the support to ensure that this project brings the change that we desire. Now, it's my honor to welcome and recognize the representative of the Managing Director of Guma Valley Water Company, Engineer Mada S. Benge. Where are you, sir? And this is another agency of government that will also be participating in this project. You are most welcome, sir. Another important personality, Dr. Peter E. Lamy. I'm the one representing him. I'm the one representing him. Yeah. Okay, so sorry, that's the document I had from. Okay, thank you very much. Now, we will reorganize the program to ensure that everybody have listened and seen what the project is all about before we bring the most important personality in the room to give the special remark. So, may I humbly request that we step down temporarily the high table. It's not dissolved, we just step down to allow the presentation to come forward. So, I think, yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, Parliamentary Committee on Trade and Industry members present here, representative of the Chief Minister and other ministers of government, co-financing partners, private sector operatives, the Senior Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Trade, development partners, the UNIDO team from Vienna and UNIDO Sierra Leone. A special recognition to Mr. Gridus Saboliska, an SME specialist assigned to SMIDA, who is assisting us with the policy review and act review of the agency. Gridus, he was very instrumental whilst we are fighting for the executing partnership arrangement for this project. So can you stand and people see you? He's an European, or Sierra Leonean European. I think he has spent 15 years in this country, so he knows a lot about us. The ambassador of Liberia, the EPA director of Liberia, Dr. Aduni Sabu, members from other ministries, departments, and agencies present. Good morning, all. SMEs are the new game changers needed for climate action for two simple reasons. They are flexible, they are agile to accept reforms or innovations. What is happening? Screen. Now, go to the beginning. No, you don't. Bias. Yeah. Where's that?
Well, we have a little bit of each, so please bear with us. You know, even during merriment, sometimes some hitches happen, so bear with us, we'll soon be back. Exactly, technology. I've also seen some people in the room that I've not introduced. I've just seen from the PI craft, the rights specialist, also appointed by His Excellency the President, Dr. Juliana Van Dam. You're most welcome, Madam. Yes, so we have the private sector here, apart from the big representatives we've seen. Okay. Now, you see, so we have Eba, the Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce. Yes, most welcome, Madam. So, very balanced leadership in the Chamber. We have a gentleman and a lady. So, we hope through your office, you ensure that women are prioritizing the project at all levels, and I hope you also spend some time on the monitoring of this very important project. Again, an important personality, Alhaji Tanu Jallo, who has been the former president of Sierra Leone Exporter Union. Please, let's recognize him. We need these people who have been leaders in the private sector for two major things. One, to serve as mentors for new leaders. And number two, also, we want them to be in our midst so that we can learn from their experiences in leading these big organizations. And finally, I see the technology is now working, and I hope we can go on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman, who survived the technical issue. So, as I indicated earlier, SMEs are the new game changers needed for climate action because we feel they are agile and they are flexible in accepting reforms in terms of innovation. So, many speakers have given the country context, and we have the view that our development in the SME sector is hindered by a complex set of climate change challenges stemming from climate vulnerabilities, increasing risks of flooding, as the Chief Director of the Environment was giving statistics. All of you had the things that are happening there. Economic development challenges for MSMEs themselves. And because of all these challenges, we think there's urgent need for our SMEs and the business environment to accept reforms in terms of innovation. So, why are we embarking on this project? We understood there are problems with access to finance, where there is insufficient financing options, particularly aimed at climate resilient measures. And so, studies have shown that until that is done, the challenges that I have just highlighted will continue to happen. There are also regulatory gaps, inadequate data, and regulatory frameworks, some conflicting ones that needs to be looked into. Of course, the SME landscape indicates that over 60 to 70% of the operatives are female, but there is inequality in support mechanisms that come around. So this project will be looking at how best we can give minimum 40% support to women operatives and 20% to youths. Those are deliberate because they will be looking at what the government is looking at in terms of 5 game changers. And so the need for innovation is to bring solutions that address those impacts of climate change that SMEs are prone to. The project objectives is to ensure that we reduce vulnerability and increase resilience amongst the SME operatives in the 3 sectors the project is targeting, that is water, energy, and food. So we'll be catalyzing climate adaptation, innovation, and entrepreneurship. We'll also be looking at climate enabling framework for MSMEs to grow within the climate adaptation landscape. And we'll also be looking at sustainability issues. I was happy that the Chief Director from the Ministry of Trade representing the Minister indicated that they want to see impact, they want to see change. So we'll be looking at this. The project itself has 4 components. One, we'll be looking at institutional policy and coordination framework for adaptation MSMEs, known as strengthening framework for adaptation SMEs. Secondly, we'll be supporting MSMEs in growing and scaling up in the water, energy, and food sector. The essence is to allow climate adaptation technologies, business models, and financing for adaptation SMEs to take place. The third component is increasing access to finance for vulnerable groups. We have vulnerable groups in the rural areas that are highly hit by climate-related events. Like when the Chief Director from the Environment Ministry was giving statistics, we had him talking about the number of villages that are declared, the destruction done to food systems, agricultural productivity, etc., etc. So we're looking at that. And the fourth component we'll be looking at ensuring monitoring, learning, and knowledge share. Monitoring evaluation is key. It is only when we look back at what we are doing we'll be able to see. And we are trying to make sure that this project speaks to the needs of the government priorities, the 5 big 5 feed salary, human capital development, youth employment, infrastructure, technology, innovation, and transforming the public service infrastructure architecture. So what are our expected outcomes? Firstly, we want to have an integrated mechanism for adaptation of MSMEs. And the key outcomes will be to establish an integrated mechanism that aligns MSMEs with national climate adaptation plan and goals. Because we have an adaptation plan developed in this country, managed by the EPA. We also want to ensure that we improve business environment for climate adaptation innovation. And the specific interventions we do there is to establish interministerial coordination mechanism, online adaptation platform established or developed. We strengthen data collection at the Israeli Meteorological Agency. We'll also be looking at policy and regulatory recommendations and technological showcasing at the Environment Protection Agency. And we adopt clusters in 4 regions of the country. Second outcome will be growth and scale up of adaptation MSMEs. And the key outcomes there will be adaptation MSMEs will grow their businesses and operations. And we also want to ensure that the adaptation SMEs will secure funding to grow and scale up. The specific interventions will be we will train MSMEs in pre-acceleration, post-acceleration, and advanced acceleration. We also assist business development accelerators with training facilities to make sure that they will bring them on board to be able to cascade the training to our SME operatives in the country. Thirdly, we'll ensure that we establish a climate adaptation fund. And the climate adaptation fund will look at ways in which they can de-risk and leverage public and private investment in SMEs that are hit by climate change effects. Thirdly, we'll be looking at financial services for vulnerable groups. So we'll be looking at demand and accessibility to financing for adaptation services. And we'll also look at financial services providers that lend to vulnerable groups to acquire adaptation technologies, products, and services. I'll be specifically looking at methodologies for assessing and quantifying adaptation resilience. MSMEs will be connected or network, be allowed to network with others for them to be able to practice resilience and adaptation, achieve adaptation benefits. So my financial service providers and microfinance institutions will be provided to develop the risking and climate adaptation, adaptive guarantee schemes. Because one thing most of them fear our SMEs is they said they don't have credit guarantee schemes that they can turn to in their issues of default on part of our SMEs. So that will be looking to. I'll be also looking at innovative financial products adapted to the needs of the most vulnerable. The fourth outcome will be monitoring, learning, and knowledge sharing. We'll establish a comprehensive monitoring and evaluation learning framework to track progress and document best practices for climate adaptation. We'll also be looking at centralizing the creation of database to capture and disseminate information on climate adaptation technologies, including their performance and effectiveness. And thirdly, we'll be producing annual reports that disseminate periodically outcomes and lessons learned, which will be shared through the Adaptation Innovation website to facilitate knowledge and exchange. The project has an institutional arrangement or governance structure. We have the project donor, which is Jeff, or the project steering committee, comprising various institutions, 13 in number. We have the Ministry of Trade, the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Water Resources, the Environment Protection Agency that chairs, Ministry of Agriculture, SMIDA, the private sector represented by the Chamber of Commerce, Sierra Leone Microfinance Institutions, etc., etc. We'll also have Video Sierra Leone serving as a project implementing partner. They are there to ensure that we carry out the activities of the project as agreed and according to standards. And SMIDA, where I am representing, and my colleagues, we are the project executing entity we are responsible for the overall execution of the project and its components. And lastly, but not the least, we have a project management unit that is anchored at SMIDA that will do the day-to-day activities or operations of the project. So what impact will we be expecting after the implementation? We want to see impact on adaptation of MSMEs, vulnerable groups, knowledge management, capacity building, financial innovations, and gender and youth inclusion. So under the impact of MSMEs, we want to ensure that over 150 SMEs will gain increased inclusion in climate adaptation value chains. This directly speaks to the feed silo project. We'll also be looking at multi-sectorial approach where MSMEs will create solutions across the water, agriculture, and energy sectors, addressing key areas of problems associated with climate change. We'll be looking at contribution to national adaptation plans and the big fives. So the MSMEs-led solutions will directly contribute to the implementation of the climate adaptation plans and national development plan. We'll also support climate adaptive products and services where the project will support MSMEs in producing climate adaptive product services and enhancing their competitiveness and resilience. We'll also reduce climate risks by ensuring that MSMEs-led solutions will help reduce climate-related risks in their respective sectors, benefiting the broader community. The impact of vulnerable groups will address climate adaptation clusters, where clusters will serve as hubs for knowledge sharing and exchange of capacity building. And this will directly speak to the human capital development cluster of the Big Five agenda of government. We'll be looking at 250 vulnerable people to be impacted. The target beneficiaries will include rural communities with at least 40% women and 20% youth participation. This is done to ensure that the promise of the government of job creation is adhered to. We'll also be doing knowledge management and capacity building. We'll be developing tools and training for long-term sustainability of SMEs and financial service providers. We'll be doing technical capacity for SMEs to implement climate-resilient technologies. Financial literacy programs will be run, and we establish a web platform for continuous knowledge sharing. Adaptation innovation platform will be established, and it is an initiative to ensure that we facilitate coordination and collaboration among MSMEs, public and private sectors, and vulnerable groups. It will provide a dedicated space for knowledge sharing and exchange of climate adaptation solutions. Financial innovations will be in the form of climate adaptation venture fund to provide seed capital to MSMEs with innovative climate adaptation technologies. And expected investment will be in the tune of 25 million for additional investment mobilized through support for SMEs by our co-financing partners. And lastly, we'll focus on the risking, special focus on risking investment for vulnerable and women-led enterprises. Gender and youth, very, very, very important. We ensure 40% minimum, not maximum. I think the DOE Act is asking for 30%. We have set the bar higher than what is required by law. That we cater minimum 40% for women to ensure that at least they participate in the project activities. And we'll ensure that 20% goes to youth. We'll also ensure post-acceleration support so that we'll provide special focus on post-acceleration for women and youth-led SMEs to help them grow and scale their climate adaptation businesses. In summary, adaptation SMEs will be supporting 150 SMEs in capacity building, 50 in advanced acceleration, and 20 in post-acceleration. And financial access, we look at $25 million in co-financing and innovative financial products. Job creation, we look at 200 jobs to be created from this intervention, with 40% for women and 20% for youth. And inclusion of vulnerable communities or groups, we're looking at 250 vulnerable groups all across the country in local communities. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
project, its impact, outline clearly what this project will achieve, and again, with your support, we hope it will live up to that. And the private sector here, the civil society here, will hold you accountable towards the achievement of those goals. But one thing I took from the presentation, which I think is important for me to say, is that there is synergy with what we do at the Presidential Initiative on Climate Change and Renewable Energy. As we are just setting up a climate and energy innovation hub, which means there is synergy with what this project is doing and what the Presidential Initiative will be doing. And of course, with the support of our chairman, we've already received some funding to set up that department. And one of the jobs we'll be doing is really developing innovative projects, again, for the benefit of SMEs and of course for larger private sector. So on that note, I will now welcome the next presentation, which will come from Ms. Song Young. She will tell us about the strategic approach that this project will use to engage the private sector. She traveled all the way from beautiful Vienna to be here.
And had a long journey.
Yes.
Thank you for the welcome. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sun Young. I am the CAT-B manager from UniDesign. And it's my great pleasure and honor to be with you for the launch of CAT-B. I also have the privilege of conveying greetings and congratulations from the Chief of Climate Innovation and Montreal Protocol, Mr. Alois Malanga. He was also the designer of the project, so you may have heard this name before, you may have interacted with him. He sends his apologies that he cannot be here in person, but he sends his greetings and gratitude to the project stakeholders and partners. My hope today is to reiterate the strategic approach this project takes in working with the private sector to increase climate resilience. And as we wait for the slides to come on, I would also like to highlight that this project approach is pioneering a multi-sectoral, interministerial ecosystem approach to ensure that innovations from different sectors, including water, energy, and food security, are coming together. Just 2 days ago, we had CAT-B's first PSC meeting, the Project Steering Committee meeting, and the room was full. The PSC is larger than usual because it's a multi-sectoral project, and I'm very thankful for the commitment conveyed today by the various ministries and their representatives, and the call to action that you have issued so that we may really deliver the impact. It is a privilege for UNIDO to be part of Sierra Leone's development path towards carbon neutral, middle income country status in the next 15 years. And our hope and ambition is that CAT-B will deliver good results in contribution to that national development priority. If I may have the slides on this screen, please. Thank you very much. So as I said, we very much hope that CAT-B Sierra Leone will be a contributing factor to the country's development priorities. And UNIDO brings our expertise and experience in building climate adaptation and resilience capacities of our partner countries, and our priorities in our support center around building climate resilience of vulnerable communities and supporting the development of climate resilient industries and value chains, and to also bridge the gap in adaptation financing, which is estimated at $565 billion per year by 2050. So in achieving these priorities, I want to highlight what is UNIDO's strategy for climate adaptation and resilience, which are of course embedded into the CAT-B project design. our first priority or first strategy is to work with vulnerable and rural communities to foster climate literacy and empower local entrepreneurs to climate-proof their livelihoods. We want the vulnerable communities to understand what they're experiencing, and we want the knowledge to also empower them to be entrepreneurial and innovative in ensuring that their livelihoods are climate resilient. At the same time, we want to identify community-level climate risks and the localized needs for technology products and services, the TPS, for climate adaptation and resilience. And as you are aware, climate adaptation is experienced at very, very micro local levels, and it is our approach to identify those very specific needs that these communities experience. And that identification of the demand for adaptation TPS will inform the MSMEs that are present in these local communities to lead innovations that can address the challenges the communities are facing. And then when these solutions now become available to communities, we want to also ensure the accessibility of these solutions by increasing the affordability from a financial sense for these vulnerable and rural communities. Why is UNIDO's strategic focus on working with MSMEs? Well, you know better than me that MSMEs play a crucial role in employment creation and in the economic development of developing countries. And as Mr. Sano has mentioned earlier, they are agile and they are able to respond fast to the local needs. That enables them to respond to the challenges experienced, especially